Today we bring on a fascinating guest, Jordan Bass, CEO and co-founder of HOP WTR, a beverage company that actually launched in the middle of COVID and didn't start out as a retail company, but because of COVID, started out as completely D2C, of course, and then now is a vastly majority of a retail business. But I love Jordan's methodical approach of how he thinks about influencer, paid, how those work together for a retail heavy business. If you are wanting to grow a retail side of your business, if you are actively a growing or majority retail heavy business, I think this episode will be a fascinating one of how they're leveraging influencer micro and macro, how they are leveraging influencer content, and then the paid performance of all that content. So let's jump in. It'll be a fascinating episode, and we'll see you in there. What is up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Influencer Marketing Blueprint. It is 2024, and I'm going to say we can give it until Friday on the 5th that we can still say Happy New Year, but Happy New Year to Jordan Bass,
Happy New Year.
Our guest today. What is up?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me on. Happy New Year. And always start with a hop water, so crack that to get going.
Wow.
Well, I feel like we're missing out, Taylor. Like, he didn't send us product to actually do that with him at this point. So,
well, you told him it was going to cost $2,000 for that placement.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you could get on GoPuff and probably have it to your front door by the time we're done with the episode.
That's true. So Jordan and I actually originally connected, and the dude is wearing the hat that I actually sent him. I posted this hat of Girls Do Everything Better because I was having a daughter that was going to be coming up, and I was excited to have a daughter, and he just had his third. So he was like, dude, I need this hat because you're 3 times in the girl dad as me. And he wore it to the episode. So just thanks for being a legend.
For sure. Well, dude, thanks for the hat. It was awesome. It's full circle, connecting on LinkedIn and then chatting here. Yeah, I've got 3 daughters, 3 and under. So it escalated very quickly. They're amazing. And when I saw your hat, it was definitely like, or you posted the hat, it was kind of like an instant connection. And so pretty cool to chat. And yeah, thanks for sending it. It's a pretty rad hat. I was mentioning I've already gotten several compliments on it.
Girl power. Well, we're not here to talk about that. Neither here nor there. Let's talk about HOP WTR, what you guys are up to. Maybe just give like a super high level of what your brand is for those that haven't heard about it.
For sure, yeah. So HOP WTR is a startup beverage company. We're a sparkling water infused with hops. Myself and my co-founder, Nick, developed a product. We love drinking beer and found there was just a bunch of occasions where we wanted a non-alc alternative. But when we kind of looked out at the market, it was either a really high calorie and carb, non-alc beers, or just drinking, your 5th LaCroix for the day, which didn't feel very celebratory or satisfying. So we decided to create something ourselves and launch HOP WTR, and it's been going super well.
Awesome. What is the percentage split? Like, because you go on your website, it seems like find us in a store near you. I've seen you guys a bunch throughout Whole Foods, Sprouts. What is kind of that D2C, direct to consumer versus retail split look like for your business?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, we're a digitally native company. My background was in the direct to consumer space. I ran a large direct to consumer business for a CPG company. And when we launched in the heart of the pandemic. So we launched in late 2020, and really direct to consumer was kind of the only play at that time. Retailers and bars and restaurants really weren't looking at new items. So we launched DTC, and in the first year plus, that was the majority of our business. Today, we're majority retail and expanding through retailers really nationally. But DTCs are still a really important component of our business.
How was that amidst COVID launching for you guys? Outside of retail, but DTC
it was
wise,
crazy. DTC, DTC was a little bit more intuitive, and both myself and my co-founder, again, have kind of a background in the space, so we knew how to roll that playbook out pretty quickly. But like retail was super hard. I mean, we, rightfully so, retailers were kind of like looking to stock bread and milk and eggs on their shelves. They weren't really like interested in new innovation because they just needed to like provide the basics to their customers. So in 2020 and really even in 21, there was like resets of new items were just completely either scrapped or delayed. That was really challenging. And then fortunately things like somewhat normalized in the back half of 21 and 22 and 23. But yeah, it was a really unique time to start a business. Cut a lot of war stories.
I'm assuming paid social, Meta, influencer were part of that playbook. What did that all entail for you guys as you rolled it out and started scaling up your D2C?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. To your point, I mean, we rolled out kind of the full playbook, and Meta and paid ads were obviously a big part of it, as well as obviously generating organic content. And influencers were a huge part of our strategy really early on. And it's gone through, multiple kind of iterations of testing and learning and optimizing how we utilize influencers. But yeah, it was really something that we utilized from the beginning, and I think we used it and we still use it in kind of two ways. We used it in the early days again, and still do, as an awareness play. And we kind of measure that differently than we do a click through and conversion sort of route. And we still do that today. We utilize influencers for both awareness and for conversion, as well as we can get into it, but as well as to support our retail business.
I think
We're,
go ahead. I just think that's super interesting. I'd be fascinated to hear how you break that down, like calculate awareness
Yeah.
being, that's winning, and then conversion based, that's winning. How you guys are calculating that?
Yeah.
well, you just
So
asked the question.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
so we kind of separated in. So well, one will either from a measurement standpoint, we'll look at like impressions, and more like CPM versus CAC, to measure sort of the efficiency of our CPM versus like our conversion, and then we kind of further divide it by. We found that for us, like macro influencers are pretty tough um, to get a consistent CAC, and conversions. We tend to use, and it's a little bit more of like a bet. It's like one's going to work, one's not going to work. So we tend to use macro for more of awareness, and we have a group of brand ambassadors that we've put together that really like discover the brand organically. We also found that like, okay, going to someone with like a huge following and then like paying them, it's just like kind of, it's not authentic. It's a little weird. So we've got a group of ambassadors that primarily we partnered with organically. So Dustin Poirier, who's a championship UFC fighter, is like one of my favorite stories. He was training for a fight in Vegas a couple years ago and just posted and tagged Topwater organically. We're like, hey, who's this guy with the blue check mark? We reached out to him. It was like right before his fight and got on a call. We thought it was going to be his agent. It was him. Super cool, great guy, and discovered the product authentically. So we partnered with him. And then he'll do like, posts that are incorporated into his lifestyle because he like genuinely likes the product. Um, and so that's much more awareness based. It's authentic for him. It's reaching people. We'll then further partner with him, like when he has a fight, and we'll do something around his fight to like kind of, partner amplifier. We launched a new product. Grapefruit was his favorite flavor. So we launched a grapefruit product in collaboration with him. Again, that's like very organic. And I can talk about, some of the other celebrities that we've done that with or influencers. That's more macro. On a more sort of micro basis, we'll work with those folks either if it's through gifting or paid, and that'll be a little bit more like conversion based, and then we'll measure that differently.
Today's Power Minute is brought to you by Social Snowball, an affiliate platform for e-com that is focused on enabling affiliate partnerships for what I like to call the modern affiliates. So not the traditional affiliates, publishers, blogs, etc. This is the modern affiliates, such as creators, ambassadors, influencers, customers, etc. So there's many things I love about Social Snowball. One of the first things that comes to mind is they eliminate all code leaks. So if your codes that have gone out to influencers or affiliates have ended up on coupon sites, Social Snowball would eliminate this. Also, it's very important to have a tiered based system to motivate your affiliates to continue to post and generate revenue for you. So they make that super seamless, make it super easy on the affiliate to get paid out any which way that they like. So Venmo, PayPal, directly to their bank, on a Visa gift card, Amazon gift card, all that, etc. If you guys haven't checked them out, they're on the Shopify App Store. Go check them out today. You're missing out. They are clearly the best and our number one recommendation for affiliate marketing. If you can, let us in underneath the hood a little bit in terms of how much you guys are. I guess if you could break down, like, the consistent question we ask guests is percentage of rev on marketing, percentage of marketing you spend on influencer, just like from a rough ballpark perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we're still, investing in growing the business. So I think when you look at like a mature brand, maybe it's like 10% or something. We're definitely investing more than that in marketing because
Yeah.
we want to grow. And influencers is a top 5 channel for us. I think paid still, number one. Referrals is actually like a top 2 channel for us. So friends and family and referrals has been huge for us. But influencers is definitely top 5, really important channel for us.
You could probably group influencer into that referral, would you not?
So you could we
Or how
break
do
it
you
out
split that out?
separately. Like ours is more like friends and family, or excuse me, is like customer referrals, and more like friends and family, like versus influencer. We track that separately.
Okay.
Or organic. That number 2 is also like organic traffic too.
Okay. I'm curious how you're splitting that out from influencer, because like when you're talking about just organic awareness, how are you splitting that out when you look at like GA, for example, or if you're looking at it from a
So, I mean, we have an attribution model that we utilize, and fortunately, we have a team that is much smarter than I am that gets into the nitty gritty and figures out how to attribute our spend.
Okay, but you
Yeah,
split it out nonetheless. You're splitting it out from your customers.
We are, yeah,
yeah. I would assume just looking at the baseline and then when a macro posts, what's the lift and the difference and the delta of that. But
yeah,
that's cool. Well, I still would love to actually go back to the conversion based, because that's like a huge question people are constantly asking.
yeah,
The black box of our
yeah,
space is attribution, and how do we determine that influencer investments are a success?
yeah, yeah,
I feel like you went really into the weeds on, determining success on a macro basis for awareness. And it's funny that you do awareness with macros and then you do conversion based campaigns with micros. I would say we're very much so in line with that for bigger bang for your buck ROI wise. When measuring conversions, are you giving out affiliate links? Is this just UTM links? Like, what are you guys doing there to track sales? Is there any way that you're tracking the halo effect of influencer marketing? I'm just curious to
yeah,
hear a little bit more on the conversion side of things, how you guys are
yeah,
going about that.
yeah. Good question. Yeah, and you said you're aligned with that strategy with like micro and macro. Is that right? Yeah, yeah, cool.
For
Yeah,
sure.
so we do a couple things again. I'll defer to my team that's a lot smarter than me, but like I just broadly we do a couple of things. So yes, we do links specifically. So for specific influencer campaigns, we'll have track links. We definitely do a bunch of affiliate work, so we like know specifically what each influencer is driving. And then to your point, more broadly, we have a post purchase survey, and that's quite effective for us. And we figured out kind of like how to scale that up and how many people respond to that and how to like use that so it's statistically significant. But that kind of like catches the rest that basically don't directly click through a link. And then I think you referenced earlier, looking at kind of trends, and we'll look at it across the board, not just on our direct website. We'll look at our Amazon traffic. We'll look at at other channels that we can track. And when we have a big enough influencer post, and we'll see kind of like the boost in other channels, and we can like
For
make
sure.
some directional basically attribution. But the post purchase uh, and links and affiliate, like we get pretty good data from that to tell if influencer is working or not.
I'm curious, going back to your, like, you started D2C during COVID. Obviously, it was like basically the only option. That was your background, very familiar. You kind of just get off to a hot start. Now you're vastly majority retail. One, was that always the goal? And then two, how are you actually utilizing influencers to drive retail activations? Because I would assume that's a big charge if that's majority of your business revenue.
For sure. Yeah, great question. Yeah, I mean, look at the beverage business, you really have to scale in retail. It's a heavy product, it's expensive to ship. I'm not really aware of any beverage business long term that is majority retail or majority DTC. Excuse me. um, so but like our DTC business is super important to us, and our DTC community is really important to us. I mean, we built this amazing community that we can speak with directly, and I can talk about that more. How we work with our community to both drive the business, but also drive innovation, et cetera. Yeah, today we're majority retail, and we have some incredible retail partners. I think you mentioned Whole Foods, Sprouts, Target, HEB, Bevmo, lots more, and so as the business scaled, we had this incredible direct to consumer business that we could utilize to support our retail business. So every time we launch our retailer, will use that community and do the initial activation, whether it's email, social, et cetera, to drive traffic in there. And then to your point, our question, we also leverage influencers to drive our retail business. So every time we launch a meaningful retailer, we'll use either several influencers or a specific influencer that is and send them in store. And so they'll go into store. So Target, for example, when we launched Target, we did a both Target focused retailer and several other sort of more micro influencers, and they would go in store. They'll shop the product. They'll show where it is on shelf. They'll talk about the benefits of it, and then we'll whitelist with that influencer, and we'll use IL to drive conversions and track performance there in that retailer. So yeah, it's a really effective strategy for us.
That's amazing. I love that.
That was really holistic.
You mentioned, yeah. When you're talking about your community, you're talking about giving them equity comp. Like can you break that down exactly what that means? Because obviously could mean very different things to very different people.
Well, yeah. So for our brand ambassadors, so we talked about Dustin Poirier, or Kaisa, or Cam Duddy, Bryce Wong, got a number of influencers. All of those brand ambassadors that are sort of more macro brand ambassadors are our owners. We give all of them equity. Koa Smith's one of the most recent ones that we brought on. It's like rad, awesome surfer. And they're all like just great people. And we want them to be a part of the brand. And as I talked about, like we really don't bring any influencers on in that capacity that don't like love the brand organically. And so we want them to be really like part of the company. And so we make sure that they're all, compensated as part owners of the company.
For the sake of our podcast, I'd be interested to hear just how have you really married the two channels of influencer and Facebook and paid social? How have you brought those two together? I mean, that's something that we definitely preach a lot at Kinship. So be interested to hear from you how you guys have been able to successfully do that on your guys' end.
Yeah. Well, I think whitelisting is like a huge one for us. There's a number of areas, but whitelisting is a big one for us, to where we most of the time when we partner with influencers, they'll obviously post on their channels, but then we'll also whitelist, and that's really valuable. That's become 30+% of our paid spend is through whitelisting, and that's up multifold from a couple of years ago. So that's increased a lot. And I don't think we're the only ones doing that. I think that's pretty well established industry trend at this point, but that works well. And then we'll also utilize the content. We haven't talked a ton about content yet, but like so key. And I mean, I'm sure you guys would preach more organic content, and that's tailored to the platform. We can talk about that too. It's critical that you tailor the content to the platform. And who better to do that than an influencer that lives in the platform and knows how to make content for that platform? So we'll always like repurpose that, and we'll either use that content straight out, like if it's let's say it's a bartender that makes mocktail recipes. Like we might just use that piece of content and run it, or we'll utilize those pieces of content and do like mashup videos. And those are some of like our most successful pieces of content. Those work really well. So there's a couple ways that we kind of marry the two together.
For sure.
What do you
For
guys?
sure.
I want to hear what your guys' best practices are.
Hit them, Tay.
I mean, you just gave the pitch, man. Like, who better to lean into than the people that proven to create content on the platforms that you're looking to advertise on, that are incredibly engaging, thumb stopping, all of the things. And so, yeah, you want to be running ads that don't necessarily look like ads, that don't look like you're trying to peddle something to them and push a
Yeah.
product on them to buy. And so you're hitting around the head of the nail. You're hired, man. But on our end, we actually haven't seen, because that was kind of a follow-up question. We've seen it across, like, we have visibility into like $350 million plus of ad spend, and across that ad spend, we haven't seen a significant correlation between an influencer's content being ran from a brand handle versus that content being ran from an influencer's handle, and that lending itself to a lift in ROAS. So going back to your point, like creative, we've seen that be the main thing that really has driven the performance. That said, there's certain brands that Whitelisting has crushed it for, and you do see like this massive lift in performance when the content is served from the influencer versus the brand. So we say it's always worth doing and testing, just like anything in an ad count, right? Put it to the test and let's see what ends up scaling. But across all brand spend, we haven't seen this massive correlation between doing it and a lift. That said, the creative, 100%. So it was interesting to see that that's worked really well for you. And it's a testament that it's definitely always.
And we'll see
doing.
that too, though, that it's like depends on the account. Sometimes it works just as well through our account versus their account.
Right.
It's another tool in the tool belt.
Yeah, for sure.
Today's Power Minute is brought to you by Mighty Scout, an influencer tracking tool. So you've probably heard Taylor and I talk about Mighty Scout at length in past episodes, but today we want to take special time to speak to it specifically. So if you are investing in any sort of influencer marketing to a degree, I highly suggest getting on Mighty Scout. First of all, it's going to track all of your organic posting that goes out. So if you're doing seeding, pay for posts, you can drop in all your influencers by campaign. And then once those influencers are in those campaigns, they're going to immediately start being tracked if and when they mention you by handle or any hashtags that you give it. So it's going to give and pull all that content, most importantly, so that you can know who posted, you can reach out for content rights, etc. Also, it's going to give you all the reporting and ROI on those things as far as metrics wise. So you're going to be able to know the vanity metrics that go out around those influencer posts. You're going to know everything that it goes into around influencer marketing in regards to Mighty Scout. So if you haven't checked them out, highly, highly suggest them. Go to mightyscout.com to find out more. What would be your advice going into, like, I guess, well, let me pause there. What would be your advice for retail majority brands and how they can leverage influencer and paid?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a couple, great tools. I mean, shout out to our friends at Isle. They've got a great tool. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cough. Like I think everyone got sick in December.
It's because you're a dad of three under three. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, like I said, I think I'm still standing. Isle's great. We integrate those guys a lot into our retail campaigns because there's and then like a clear call to action, go get $5 off or whatever it is. And so, it's more trackable and gives the consumer a benefit. So that's great. I think, like I talked about, for brands that have this amazing email list, social following, DTC community, why not leverage those folks to support your retail business? Like, I don't believe in that cannibalization, mantra. I mean, for me, if your customer is subscribing to your product on DTC, then like they're more likely to go buy your product in retail. Like the next time they go to a party and they need to pick up a 6-pack or whatever it is, do you think they're going to pick up your competitor if they've got your product coming to their house? No, like they're loyalists to your brand. So I think it's very synergistic between both the retail and DTC channel. And I think leveraging that your community to support retail is what I would advise any brands that have both those businesses. I would also advise to utilize your direct-to-consumer business to test and learn and to develop new products. Like we speak directly with our DTC community, whether it's through surveys or me making phone calls or our team, chatting with our consumers, seeing what they like, seeing what they don't like, what they want us to innovate on, what flavors they're interested in, whatnot. Like you have this amazing community that you can use and test and learn. And so like you should never launch a product that isn't basically you don't have a ton of confidence in because you've already vetted it with your DTC community. And we do that, and we see that like our product launches, everyone's more successful than the last one, partly because of that. One nice example of that is our double hopped product that we just launched that came directly from our direct to consumer community. We said, hey, what else would you like to see? And our kind of like hop head core beer consumers said, we'd love a hoppier version, palate wrecking kind of version. And we said, you ask, we deliver. We believe in consumer led innovation. Our consumers said they want it. So we dry hopped a product. We use the same amount of hops that we use in a craft IPA, and it is amazing. We launched it. It's sold out basically right away. We just brought back a second release of it. So that's like a really nice full circle. And then that does well, and then we can move it into retail, and we can say like, hey, look, we've already validated that there's demand on this product.
Proof of concept, yeah. Come on.
I love that. T, you got any more questions?
I do have an additional question on the influencer side of things. So you made it clear that on the macro influencer side of things, you don't just go actively cold prospect macro influencers. It's a little awkward. It's probably not a great bang for your buck. You're probably going to get introduced to an agent who gives you the hiked up rates, and it's not the most authentic partnership. So you look for people that are interested in you, like you had said, Dustin Poirier, organically post, boom, golden opportunity. So that's on the macro influencer side of things. On the micro influencer side of things, how are you actively building out your community there with micros? Do you have someone identifying and reaching out to new micros every single month? Is there a certain amount that you do each month, or are you only doing inbound there on the macro and micro side of things? What does that look like for you guys on your side?
Yeah. On the micro, we have multiple approaches, and yes, we are more outbound on the micro strategy. And one of the things that we find works really well is gifting strategy from that standpoint. And so we'll do a lot of gifting to micro influencers, and oftentimes they'll just post organically, and then we'll see, okay, does that work? And if it does, maybe we'll move into like a deeper relationship. But that's like a really great strategy for us. So yeah, we do a lot of gifting to kind of like find the people that work.
We would echo that works 100% for sure. But yeah, that's really my follow-up question there.
Jordan, thank you so much for coming on. Where do people find you if maybe a retail heavy, or even if they're 50-50 or want to grow their retail presence and they're in the food and bev space? Even outside of that, people want to connect with you, pick your brain. Where can they find you and connect? Yeah,
first of all, you can find our product at mentioned Sprouts, Whole Foods, Target, Bevmo,
at Kinship headquarters.
Kinship headquarters. You can get us online, Amazon, GoPuff, our website, hopwtr.com, hopwater.com, so you can find us there. And then you can find me personally on LinkedIn. Just DM me. I respond to the vast majority of my DMs, so I look forward to connecting.
Yeah, if you want to send him a hat, he's always available as well.
I do like free hats.
Thanks for coming on, my man.
Thanks.
Great chatting, Jordan.